Hello everybody, it's Stewart A. Swerdlow for Expansions.com.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is our podcast for the news for the very end of September 2013. We have some news for them.
I have a ton of news.
You have a ton?
I have a ton.
I have more paper than you have.
I have better stories.
Well, I'm sure they're all about you know what. But
what?
Let me get, you know what I'm talking about? Let me get to the serious stuff. Well,
is that in outer space?
In Sirius A it is, and they're watching. You know, we do have a live link to Sirius A, Procyon, Tau Ceti. They're watching me right now.
How about Pleiades?
Well, yes, but that has to be translated into programming language.
I see. So that's not too serious then?
It's not serious there, no. But, you know, just be quiet just be quiet while I speak. Okay, Lucy? Now,
so what about the woman who wrote the book recently about what women like and got in a lot of trouble?
Oh, yeah. What was she? She was on a reality show, and she said that women like men to brutalize them and rape them, marital rape, and all that stuff. Do you like that stuff?
No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Because I was, I didn't know if I should do any of that.
You don't want retaliation.
Yeah, okay, because I remember that you used to castrate, bulls.
Yes, I did.
So I'm not going to go there with you.
Thank you very much.
Because I took all the rubber bands out of the room, you know.
Yeah, I still have the castration tool.
No, you don't, because I hid it. You don't know where it is now.
I'll find it.
I'm telling you. Anyway, back to me. Back to me.
Yeah, let's get serious.
Back to me. I was looking at some seismic and volcanic information because, part of my trip in November, I have to make a stop in New Zealand because on my way to Australia, that's the only way to get there. And recent news is that there are warnings now for the people of Auckland, New Zealand, on the North Island, for possible volcanic eruptions. And, last time I was there, I was told that there were 60, or at least 60, volcanic cones in the Auckland area, but that most of them were dormant or extinct. But now they're saying that there is a possibility, it's a low possibility, but there's a possibility that they would only have days or possibly weeks of warning that a volcano in the Auckland area would erupt, and that would require 450,000 people to evacuate. Now, where is almost 500,000 people going to go off of an island in the Pacific? That's what I'd like to know.
They have boats.
Yeah, all of them rowing away in little boats, 450. That's very funny, really. Okay.
Not too serious.
No, it's not serious. No. Now, and kiwi birds don't have wings; they can't fly away. That's a problem. And also, there's also Mount Taupo in the central part of the North Island of New Zealand, and when that erupts, there will be no more New Zealand.
How many kiwi birds are there?
A lot.
So if every New Zealander would just take one kiwi
they call
with them?
each kiwi, they call them kiwis,
so
but there are kiwi birds, kiwi fruit,
So if they would all take a kiwi bird and a kiwi fruit, they could eat in the boat.
Okay, I don't know what drug you took before we got on, but please take an antidote right now. Going to more seismic activity that has happened this past week. As you've heard, Pakistan had a 7.0 earthquake, which was quickly followed by a 6.8 earthquake, and 3, not 1, but 3 islands emerged off the southern coast of Pakistan. And those islands, the waters around them are bubbling with methane gas, and one of the bright Pakistani people lit a match and set one of the methane fumes on fire, and it took a lot to put that out. Now, there's a lot of debate whether these islands were formed by the thrust up of the tectonic plate underneath, or if they were formed by mud volcanoes. But here's what I say. If you look at the pictures and images of the islands that were thrust up above the water, they don't look like mud volcano results because there's a lot of rock and hard shale and other things on that. It looks like they were thrust up from the seabed by the fault line, not from mud volcanoes erupting. So I disagree with what they said, which is not unusual.
Not unusual.
Going on to some interesting news, which it's a little disturbing about what they're planning in November. But anyway, New York City this past week had a power failure on their commuter train lines. There was an 8-mile stretch of track where the commuter trains were stopped. There was disruptions on many different commuter lines that feed into it. It was not expected. They called it a system failure, although it seems like a test to me. They said that they are concerned about a possible cyber attack, EMP, solar flares, and you know what? As we know, and I talked to you about this, Janet, because I'm not going to be here, I'm a little concerned about it. I thought I had some interesting news on that, but oh yeah, here it is. November 13th and 14th in North America, and that's Canada, the United States, and Mexico, there is going to be a power grid test. And, of course, the conspiracy sites on the websites on the internet are saying, well, you know, if they have a test, that means something's going to happen. They're going to shut down the entire grid. There's going to be no heat. There's going to be no food, blah, 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 blah. You know all that stuff, right? People, that is not what's going to happen. This is called Grid X2, and it's a test to see how the governments would react in the possible loss of the grid in North America. It's not the United States only. It is Canada and Mexico as well. And apparently, and I didn't know about this, but 2 years ago, they already had such a drill on a smaller scale with smaller amounts of companies, corporations that were involved. And apparently that's why it led to this test that's coming up November 13th and 14th of 2013. Now, what I find very interesting and hard to believe is that 99% of military facilities in the United States rely on commercial power. Now, do you mean to tell me that the government of the United States and the military and the secret military they just plug into the wall and get their... I don't believe that. I think they have their own power. I think they want people to think they're vulnerable. And I'm going to be discussing this in detail at the October conference next month. Now, they are saying that this test is not only to look at what happens in an electromagnetic pulse, but it could also occur from solar activity and geological possible destruction. So all of that's coming up. Another thing that's happened this week is, as you know, the new Iranian President Hassan Rouhani came to the United States. He spoke to the United Nations. There was a communication with President Obama, and there were overtures to the West, which had never happened before. Now, of course, people are so thrilled about it. The Iranians, the news in Iran says they're so glad that the ice is melting between the U.S. and Iran. The U.S. returned a 2,700-year-old Persian artifact that was stolen from Iran many years ago and was held in a warehouse in New York, unable to be returned because of the diplomatic issues. So the U.S. returned this item to Iran, which made them very thrilled and happy. And it was 2,700 years old, so that's a 9, which is the end of a cycle. Very significant. The Israelis, of course, are not convinced. They believe that we should be cautious. They think that the Iranians are buying time and fooling everyone while they're developing the nuclear weapons. And I think it's very interesting, at the same time that this was happening, that the Israelis arrested an Iranian spy at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport as he was about to fly out of the country. This spy, who admitted he was a spy, actually was an Iranian-born citizen who married a Belgian woman and immediately obtained Belgian citizenship and actually entered Israel with a Belgian passport and a different name. So much for the Mossad security system.
Well, they probably let him in so they could catch him.
Well, I think they let him in. I think it's all arranged. It seems to me how odd. They arrested this guy the day after is U.S. and Iran make this overture toward, I think, isn't that interesting, And my last thing that I want to talk about before you get into your stuff, of course we all know what happened a couple of weeks ago in the Navy Yard in Washington, D.C. with the gunman Aaron Alexis. But what's interesting is he claims that he was driven to in his notes, he claimed he was driven to this event by voices that were in his head. He etched on his gun the words, "My ELF weapon." He said they were beaming instructions and words into his head. He said it. And also on his gun he etched, "End the torment." He could not tolerate anymore the bombardment of ELF that he was experiencing from the United States government that drove him to this act of killing people. Now, according to the Star Tribune, the bottom line is we need to know, and this is my question, how was an employee or contractor, private contractor, able to bring a weapon and ammunition into a Department of Defense installation? Didn't he have to go through security and magnetic, what do they call it? I can't, what's the word?
Well, when they go through
through the scanner.
Right.
They had to see his gun.
Yeah, well, you know what? My dad worked at Boeing many years ago, and even at that time, I can remember he would have to go through the security gate every single day. He went there for many years, but they still checked his lunchbox. They checked
Even back then, that was a long time ago.
That's right.
It was before any terrorism happened.
And it was a lot less sophisticated of a check.
That's
so
right.
if this guy came in with a weapon, somebody had to have let him in.
I think he had an accomplice. I think it was all set up, and they knew he was going to do it, and that's what happened.
But you do remember the initial reports, as it seems to be with all these lone gunmen, the initial report said that there were 2 other gunmen that were seen doing the similar things with guns, with camouflage clothing, and so forth.
There was 2 others, and isn't it interesting, including the gunman killed, there were 13 people. Yeah. And in Nairobi, in the mall, the Westgate Mall, there were, I believe, right now they're up to 67 people dead and 63 people missing. So, plus the terrorists. So if you add that up, it's 130 or 10 times 13. So all of these are ritualistic events, people. These are not just haphazard events or planned events. They're planned by the Illuminati.
Well, it was interesting, and I think this happened last week. While this was happening, there was actually a gun rob in Nairobi. There was a gun robbery in Berrien Springs, south of us,
right,
at a credit union.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't there a third? Wasn't there something on Long Island that was going on at the same time?
Yes, you're right. By the way, our children's school was in lockdown because the gunman was seen headed towards the school, and they locked down the whole school. And when we called the police to see what was going on, you know what they told us? What did they tell you?
To pray.
They told us to pray. Gee, that's comforting. Thank you, police.
I said, what's going on? Can I know what's going on
thanks
at
for
my
telling
children's
us about
school?
how our children were being held hostage in a school. Thank you for telling us to just pray instead of giving us information.
Where they would not tell me a word of what was going on.
And at the same time, there was a shooting at a mall in Long Island, and they shut down that mall, locked it down with everybody, and also at the same time, in Dusseldorf Airport, where we were in June, there was something also going on, some kind of
lockdown.
There was a lockdown because some baggage was found that was mysterious or whatever. So at the same time, 3 lockdowns, 3 different places.
And
not an accident.
And it seems that the beams are going on for people to do these things. So this is why it's so important that you do your work, your protection, your chakra spinning, your brown merger, everything that you know to do, so that you are not activated or triggered by these things.
So what stories do you have?
I have some good stories.
Oh,
really
mine weren't good? Only your stories are good?
Mine are really
fine,
good.
That's fine.
Okay. I'm going to start off by talking about vegetarianism. It was kind of funny, somebody posted on my Facebook page, hello Carl, that...
You're not supposed to name names.
I'm naming names because he said that's what he likes to do. When he goes onto a vegetarian site, he talks about how he likes to eat meat. So, here we are, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who has been...
Sheriff?
He has been around for a while down in Phoenix, Arizona.
I like Sheriff Arpaio.
He made news back in 1993 when there was a tent study of overcrowding of inmates, and he made the inmates wear pink underwear.
That wasn't so nice of him, though.
But the interesting thing is, again, this is going into making people feel uncomfortable and feel ashamed. So he's back in the news again. Some of you may have seen this, because now he has made a decision not to serve meat at Maricopa County jails in Arizona. And he's saying this is not motivated by health, environment, or religious reasons. He's doing this basically to save the taxpayers $100,000 per year. Now, he's also self-designated as the toughest sheriff in America. Remember what I tell you, if that they're on the stage, there's a reason.
Yeah, but he's the one that said that Obama is not a citizen.
Yes, but the thing is, what makes me think that he's on the other side, quote unquote, is the vegetarianism, because it's a way to make people weak. And once he does it, and they'll say it's successful, then they'll put it into the other jail systems, and then pretty soon it will be more and more into the schools, and so on and so forth.
Sheriff John, there's disappointed in you.
So I do believe that this is, for me, it's a clue, and watch him and watch what's going on, because this is the imprinting. I do believe that, quote unquote, he's on the other side. So you never know when people are out there showcased.
I'm very disappointed now.
Anybody that showcased, you have to take a look at. Okay, now you all know, because I've reported on this before.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
You do?
Go on.
You don't.
Yes, I do.
In Britain, I talked a few weeks or maybe a couple months or so ago about how that in many schools now children are not allowed to have best friends. Is that what you thought I was going to talk about?
No, but that's okay.
I didn't think so. So they're not allowed to have best friends, and this is so that people don't feel hurt. And of course, I say it's because they're reinforcing isolation programming. Now we have another thing coming out of Britain, which this one you will like. This is from a child psychologist from London's Tavistock Clinic, where the mind control goes on.
They actually said that?
No, that's what I've said. But it's from the Tavistock Clinic. So
that's what I'm saying. It was in the news report from
Yes,
Tavistock.
a child psychologist, Laverne Antrobus. They are now changing adolescence. Adolescence used to end at 18.
Yeah.
Now they are citing new guidelines. They're putting in 3 stages of adolescence. The first stage is early adolescence that ranges from 12 to 14 years. Now they have middle adolescence from 15 to 17 years. Okay. And they're putting in a late adolescence, which is 18 to 25.
25?
Yes. And they're saying, again, now this is the reason, it's hopes that they will prevent children from being rushed through childhood, and it will allow them to get used to adulthood in an easier way.
I'm still not used to it.
Now,
here's my category.
My feeling is this, that what they're planning on doing, first of all, we've talked a lot about increasing the longevity in humanity.
Yes.
So they're going to get you used to a longer adolescence period so that they can extend the mortality, and of course they're going to do it artificially with Borg and cyborg and those kind of things, and of course all the plastic surgeries and anti-aging.
Yeah. See, I had no pleasure. This is just natural.
I know, I'm sorry. Anyway, so they're going to change that, and also this has to do with more isolation programming, not maturing as fast, because that's what we see in our practice. A lot of people at 30 are where we were when we were like 17, 18 years old. Well, I don't even put you in the same category. But anyway, I just think that it's very interesting about the new guidelines, so watch that as well. Now this story actually got me a little reprimand from Facebook.
Oh, I know. You deserved it too.
Yeah, this is my first reprimand from Facebook by not following their standard protocol, because I put some pictures on there that I got from somebody else, which had the Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel naked.
Ooh, yuck.
As a young woman.
Oh.
Apparently she was a very active nudist as a young woman, so I can't put this on my Facebook page, but the link will be up so you can go to the link and you can look at the picture.
I'd like to see her
if you want to.
Can we see her naked now?
This picture, the article actually said that she was known for her nudity along with a lot of other young women when she was young.
And you know what I found?
What?
I found her a whole series of pictures of her drinking huge beer mugs, like constantly.
Yeah, you said even you couldn't drink that
much.
much
I couldn't
beer.
drink that much,
It's
honestly.
a lot of beer. So anyway, lots of interesting things, but she's always in the news, as we know. Now here's now this is the one that you thought I was going to be talking about, so now I'll talk about it. This is a news show, again, coming out of Britain, and it's called The Sex Box.
You know, they asked me to be in it. I didn't want to tell you.
Well, remember the castration tool?
Okay, I will say no.
Okay. So anyway, The Sex Box is going to feature 3 couples having sex in an opaque box in front of a live audience. Now, why they say opaque, I don't know, but they're apparently supposed to be soundproof, and when they come out of it, then there are sex experts that are going to interview these people.
Is it opaque or opaque?
Well, it says opaque, so I guess maybe they peaked. Is that past tense of peaked?
I would peek.
Maybe that's a past tense of peak. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so these couples are going to be interviewed. 2 straight couples, 1 gay couple, and the point of this apparently is supposedly to take sex out of the realm of pornography.
Will they have a priest with an altar boy?
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
But anyway, in my opinion, again, the next step is the opaque box is going to get clear, so get prepared for that.
Woohoo!
That's going to happen next.
That's when I'll volunteer.
Well, me and the tool. Castration.
I'm the tool, Missy.
Get the castration tool. Okay, then we have Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Do you know who this person is?
No.
I don't either, but apparently he's famous, so some of you out there might know.
Is he as famous as me?
No, no one's as famous as you. And he's not nearly as pretty.
I don't think so.
But, unlike you, he has a female doppelganger.
Ooh.
Now, not many people even knew what a doppelganger was until we presented our
Paranormal
seminar a few years ago. We talked about it and defined that for you. Now it's all over the news, and usually it's same sex. Now we have a male with a female doppelganger. Maybe if you're lucky, some of you lovely ladies out there with wonderful beards will send in your doppelganger pictures so we can see.
Just insulted women that have hormonal problems.
So that we, or not. So maybe they like that look now because everything is androgynous. So anyway, what I want you to know again is that this is an imprinting male, female, female, male. It doesn't matter, it's androgyny. Okay, next we have something a little less racy. We have why people don't need college degrees. Now again, they're talking about the decentralization of information, that you can get online degrees, and a lot of times you can get your training by not going to a certain place, and the internet, you don't need that, you won't have your debt, and so on and so forth. My opinion is that this is going to lead to college education eventually getting out of the financial reach of anything but the very upper class. And as we know, there seems to be a continuing trend to divide the upper class and the lower class, basically taking out the middle class. The tools and techniques that we teach you is to build things up so that you have the financial, financial tools.
Capability to attract abundance and prosperity.
That's right. Wherever you go, whatever you do.
Well, I want to attract slaves.
No. That's not,
no?
that does not even sound good.
I need servants.
Well, that sounds a little bit better, but that other first one does not sound good. Anyway, what we don't want to see is the shrinking middle class, and if they are going to shrink it, again, just because they talk about it doesn't mean you have to participate in it. Next story. There's more. Scientists at England's University of East Anglia say that the Earth could end approximately 1.75 billion years from now.
Yeah, who cares about that now?
Well, this is what we always tell you. They start introducing things that sound totally preposterous, that you shake your head at. It opens up the frequency, and then they just sort of start changing that down on you because what's the next story? The next story is we found all these exoplanets that are Earth-like that you just might want to move to make sure that you just continue to continue on forever.
Planet Stewart.
And of course, this is what Stephen Hawking has been talking about for quite a while.
Well, he doesn't really talk about it. He kind of like presses buttons.
He does. Well, he does whatever the government tells him to do, basically. But the point being is that they're continuing to get you ready for off-world habitation. So that is ongoing. And interestingly enough, guess what they say would be the best planet for best choice?
Planet Stewart.
Planet Mars.
Mars?
Mars again, it says closer to home. The researchers determined that Mars would be quote-unquote the best bet if humans ever seek a new place to live. One of our closest neighbors, only Venus is closer. Mars will remain in the habitable zone until our sun dies in 6 billion years. So if you can move to Mars, you can live another 4 billion years.
You only got 6 billion years to do it.
That's right. And then it says Mars would be a great place to watch the sun go through its death throes.
What a nice idea.
Yeah. So they're continuing to imprint you. And the last story that I have I think is really interesting. Of course, I think they're all interesting. This is about ocean eddies. Ocean eddies, they say, act like water black holes. Now remember, we're talking about black holes in space. And what are black holes? We've discussed this. Go ahead and define it for them.
It's kind of personal.
Go ahead.
No, that's where the you enter into a black hole in space, and then it funnels you through a vortex to another universe where you come out through a star.
Now, right, and they're talking about this in space. Now, again, this is directing your attention back inside the Earth. They say the watery vortices break off from currents, have their own coherent boundaries as black holes do. Also, like black holes, they swallow anything that gets too close, and they allow nothing to escape.
I don't believe that story.
Why?
Because if that was true, there would be, ocean vessels missing every minute.
But that does happen.
Not like that.
Not all the time, and they're not saying they're everywhere we look. I happen to believe it's a way of getting people to understand about the black holes, about what happens, and things that are inside the Earth. This research comes out of the Swiss University ETH Zurich and the University of Miami.
That's a combination.
It's an interesting combination.
Swiss cheese and spice.
All about holes. Black
Wow.
holes.
Well, there's a lot of holes in Switzerland.
We do. We've been there. We're not going back too soon. Anyway, lots of interesting things out of Switzerland that is interdimensional. So I want you to keep all these things in mind. We have a lot of fascinating subjects that we're going to be expounding on in our October Kuiper Belt.
No, seriously, October is going to be...
Yes, serious.
Even I'm not shocked myself
Yeah.
when I look at my notes.
Yeah. It's going to be a fabulous one. I mean, every one of our conferences gets better because we have increasingly new research to show you. The latest that you can only get by going to these places.
Yeah, but this is one of the main topics is the Kuiper Belt. A lot of stuff has come up recently. And just a little hint, I've done a lot of research on the insectoid aliens, and I found them on Earth with proof.
Well, of course, we talked about bugs last time, alien bugs. So that's a little hint for you.
So it's going to be quite fascinating. Yeah, you really need to come.
Yeah, very fascinating. And then, of course, we have our Hyperspace Oversoul Extravaganza Week, which you can choose 2 locations. You can go in November down under to Perth, Australia, or you could come here to St. Joseph, Michigan, where we will have our class in January. And it's always amazing. We have 7 days where we totally immerse you in hyperspace oversoul techniques. We work with you one-on-one. We help you find out what your intuitive abilities are and grow that to the max that you possibly can, because you're going to be amazed with a little bit of guidance what you are already doing and how you can build upon that and how your life will change forever after this week.
Plus your amazing cooking that you give them every single day.
In January here in St. Joseph. I won't be able to do that in Perth because...
In Perth will be kangaroo tail and,
Well, maybe you can ride on
pterodactyl
kangaroos or ride in the little pockets.
Yeah.
A little kangaroo race or something while you're there. We could film that and put that on.
No, really, you know what?
What?
In Perth is going to be really amazing too.
Well, you know what? Also, I saw on your Facebook page you posted on those purple snails, or violet snails. Maybe you'll eat violet snails. I don't know if they're big enough to eat.
Well,
maybe it's a little topping for your salad.
Without the shells, I would eat it.
Yeah, violet.
With olive oils and basil, that's very good.
Bring some home in your bag and we can cook some here.
No, I can't take that in the bag.
Well, don't tell them.
I could hide.
We can talk about the black holes.
I could hide them in one of, yes.
Your black holes, I know, but great minds think alike, right?
I know.
Okay. So with that said.
Yeah, well, I can actually use that in the opaque box.
The snails?
Ooh. I'll tell you later. Anyway, I'll see you soon. I'm going to my son's wedding next week. You're coming too, right?
That's what I heard.
Yeah, Granny J. Yeah, they're having a baby, so. Yeah, it's a whole thing, but I'll talk about that at the conference.
All right, so we'll see you soon.
Bye.